This is the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandan Schultz of the Military Seahawkers. If you are watching this show out on YouTube, be sure and subscribe to the channel. Hit the little like button for us. And, of course, join us for a wonderful, wonderful show as the Seahawks kick off training camp on Wednesday. And I am joined by my good buddy, at Clinton Bond, out on Twitter, at Clinton Bonner. Full name in real life.
Yes, and that's on X. But besides, but I am Brandan. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I hit all the milestones that I
needed
to hit right?
You did it
straight out of the gate.
We talked pre-show. And you're and you nailed it. And great job by you. And
way to spike the football. We could have just moved along. I could have just handed the ball to the ref, but no, you had to take the ball from my hand as I'm handing it to the ref. And slam it down Gronk style just to emphasize that we got it correct.
I love it. You're trying to be the classy Barry Sanders, and here I come, Golden Tatum down the sideline, running backwards and getting a taunting flag before they even existed. So, but since we're talking Golden Tatum, since we're talking Seattle Seahawks, yeah, man, it is camp day is upon us. Real football beginneth. And again, a fun year starts, right, Brandan? I heard many people, you were on the Dan VN show recently. I was on there too, Seahawks forever, right? And people are oh, it's been a really long offseason, been such a long offseason. And I'm sitting there going like, what are folks smoking? Like this has been to me, maybe because I'm just getting older, but this was such a short and like, I know there wasn't tragic news or worrisome news from a Seahawks perspective, but there was news. It seemed like it didn't stop. I don't know about you, Brandan, but I thought the offseason went actually like turbo time for me.
Here we were doing 2 shows a week, almost every single week, maybe one if we were slacking. And it just screamed by, right? It was like we had things to talk about every week. And now we have even more things. You knew that there were going to be things to talk about this week as it started to ramp up when you saw Uchenna Nwosu sign a new 3-year extension with the Seahawks. Then you seem like we have some more things to talk about as Quandre Diggs restructured his contract as reported by Quandre Diggs himself.
Diggs, yeah.
He's become an important part of Twitter reporting. I mean, he was part of the launch of the new uniforms, which I see, if you're not catching us on YouTube, you have Bobby Wagner in his nice throwback blues right behind you.
Right there. I think Quandre Diggs, maybe a potential new nickname for Diggs, maybe off field is like Raisin Bran, because he got them scoops, Brandan. He's got them scoops. He's all about the scoops. Has there been a player in the last, I don't know, 5 or so years? There probably has, but a Seahawk that has set themselves up for post-career, media, post-career, something more than Quandre Diggs. I know Sherman got into it because of the personality, but I didn't feel like Sherman was actively jockeying for it. But Quandre Diggs is like actively jockeying to be, a media personality, and I'd say he's doing a good job.
I don't know if he's going to be a media personality or I just enjoy him being more of a Seahawks personality. It's just fun. It's fun to have. Go back when you had Mike Robb on the team and he's doing the behind the scenes stuff. It's just, you have personalities that are fun doing fun things. And it's one of the things that helps make that offseason go by that much quicker when you have guys out on Twitter interacting and doing the fun stuff like the uniforms. I heard from Pete Carroll today that
he called you.
No,
Coach Pete.
I listened to his press conference.
Gotcha. Still okay, but less exciting. But good job.
Less direct. But he let it slip out there that the throwback uniforms could be worn twice a year. He made it sound like almost like they were going to try and push for more.
Nice.
And as far as I knew, there was only one game scheduled with the Browns. But does that mean there's a second one coming? I have to wonder.
The whispers that I've heard are that Thursday night Dallas game after Thanksgiving, the double dip Thursday. That's the rumor mill as it is out there, is saying Cowboys, Seahawks, and that might be the second game they enact them again. I'm good with it. I wear them all the time. They're gorgeous. They're lovely. they're really cool. I mean, and if we haven't talked about it yet, but I know your opinion on it. I know you know my opinion on it, and they're joyous, right? I call my dog is named Bella Beans. She's a lab mix. She's absolutely lovely. And I call her like her job is to be a joy bringer. I'm like, Bella, you are a joy bringer. These jerseys also bring joy. So things that bring joy in life, I tend to celebrate them, Brandon. I think you do too.
I may have to celebrate that joy by making a trip to Dallas then. That would be a fun road game to go to. And it actually makes sense that would be the road game because the Cowboys tend to wear their whites at home.
Correct. Correct. That's exactly right. So, it's a facto. These Columbus-like clues, these breadcrumbs are being dropped for us. And if
Columbus or Columbo?
Yeah, both. Yeah. Columbus-like, but more like Columbo clues. So we're gonna matlock our way to that one. And for anybody under the age of 25, we're like, what are these age of 35?
I've heard of someone named Columbus in history.
Yeah. No, not a lot lately, but this Columbus guy and his clues. But you did mention Uchenna, you did mention Diggs, and has the math kind of all settled yet? Where we know exactly, has it come out where it's like we know for the
we need to know exactly the amount that we have available so we can go out and sign a free agent. That it feels why are we making these moves if there is not a forthcoming move? Like, just because Devin Witherspoon has some kind of contract negotiation issue where he wants all of his money up front versus having it partially divvied up between now and future years, like I suppose the team wants to do, because that's what they've done in the past. And it can't be just for that, I have to think.
Well, I think it exceeds that just dollar wise, right? There's more sitting there. So, a couple of years ago, what was it, 2 off seasons ago? It may have been, where we actually had a surplus going into the year. We never spent it. I don't remember if that was last year. I feel like it was 2 years ago. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like we kind of wouldn't have cared last year going into last year. Like, oh, there's a surplus.
Oh yeah. Last year they did have a surplus.
Okay. Correct. It was last year. And it was like, well, they just didn't spend it this year with the things they're doing. It's not like the Seahawks do what the Saints do all the time and punt, and defer, but they did a little bit of that. So it's like, in my opinion, it's like, okay, I have got to imagine from a defensive tackle standpoint, and maybe one other position we could chat about, but from a DT standpoint, they just cannot be satisfied with the room as it stands. You have freed up some money, and maybe it's time to go on a little shopping spree. I don't know if you go for a quote unquote big splash. Not sure there's a big splash guy there, or you try to gobble up a few defensive tackles. What do you think they are scheming for next? Do you think there's a next, or do you think this is just like save a little scuttle for what reason?
I get the sense that there's a next, or that it's set up as a just in case, because based on what's come out of day one from camp anyway, it sounds like the nose is going to be Jarran Reed. Jarran Reed and Draymond Jones lined up together on the defensive line. And so that's where they're kind of pegging Reed to be as a potential nose tackle. Mario Edwards also filling in that Draymond Jones spot next to Reed. So it sounds like those are your guys for the middle. Is there another nose out there? I don't know. I guess the concern was we were just going to have rookie nose and there was no other options. But this at least gives us an idea on the interior that, okay, there could be some kind of rotation here between Jarran Reed and the rookie, and then they have the other defensive end spot in the 4-3.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's day one. Yeah, and I know it's day one.
We have all the answers after training camp day one. It's worked out. They figured it out.
Yeah, it's all settled. We did it. Nobody else did it. We get the
run
credit.
Defense top 10 this year. Nailed it.
Easy top 10. And so I'm not going to, over rotate or overreact in one way or another. I think the big advantage for any team that will need every team, no team's complete, right? But I think the bigger advantage this year also is just the way that they set it up. So you go from the 90 to the 53 in one cut this year. And that's the first time ever, I believe, right? It's the first time they're doing it that way. So that to me is going to be like, I think that that cut down to 53. Maybe it's 1 year in. I know it's real recent. So,
yeah, it's in the last 2 years.
Okay. People could, people could yell at me if I got it wrong. Either way.
Why do you even have a Seahawks podcast if you don't know when the cut down day is from 90 to 53? How could you not
know when cut down day is, or 1 day to training camp but don't know cut down day? What are you doing? And but the nice part is someone's going to be there. Beyond the folks that are there right now. And whether they're a nose or just a defensive tackle, Shelby Harris is out there. Akeem Hicks is out there. There's some, yes, they're a little older, of course, but there's some good vets that could come in right now, maybe 3 to 5 million or 6 million. I don't really care. The money's there now. Spend it the way you wish and make the run D quite a bit more consistent, I think, within like one stroke of a pen. So I've got to believe there's a move there on the defensive line still. I just can't imagine they're satisfied with what you just described. And the rookie and Cam Young. I just cannot believe we'd roll in like that, especially after this was the Achilles heel of the team last year. We just, they ran all over us. And I don't think we're better right now up the gut. There's no way they allow that to happen for game one.
Yeah. And just while you were talking there, I'm trying to get to Quandre Diggs' Twitter page to see. No, he has not reported any names of defensive tackles who are coming to the Seahawks just yet. So I checked for the breaking news. No breaking news just yet.
I do want to throw a name out there. Would you be happy, sad, or mad? I guess 2 of those things are negative. Happy, sad, or mad if we had Ndamukong Suh. If we had Suh on the team, do you think it makes us better? And would you want Ndamukong Suh on the 2023 Seahawks?
Ooh, to me, with any of these free agent moves, it's how they integrate with the guys on the team. So if they have connections with players, and I'm going back to Quandre Diggs again, with Sue's time on the Lions and Diggs' time on the Lions, did that overlap to where I would have to think that there'd be some kind of camaraderie there. Suh has the connection to the North. I think he's from Oregon.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was, that checks out.
So I always try and look for those connections. So if he has that local connection, if he has the teammate connection, I think it would make sense. And if Quandre's vouching for the dude, then yes, I'm good. That's all I need.
That I'd sign on as well. And I am, for the most part, most often, like, I care about what happens inside the lines. It's just, that's how I treat sports and how I treat athletes. Typically remember the old Charles Barkley commercial where he's like, I am not a role model. I was like, I believe you, Chuck. I believe you. I've got role models outside of sports. And I know that,
but the locker room part,
for sure
too. That's important.
That part completely matters. And, but it's just that, he's a big name. He's probably, even like, Akeem Hicks is up there too, but he's probably the biggest name available. I just don't know what's left in the tank. However, to go in and be like, hey, on 1st and 2nd down, stuff the run, and then just penetrate, get upfield. And I got to imagine Ndamukong Suh could still do those things and do those things, at a pretty darn high level compared to 99 point something % of humans on earth, and just do that one job really, really well. And then, of course, we mentioned Shelby Harris. Just in general, I'd welcome him back right away. I thought he was a very, very good, consistent player last year. But, I thought Uchenna was probably he was the top guy, most consistent and flashy at times. But that felt like, the guy that didn't get lots of praise per se, but was just consistently good was Shelby Harris. So again, I'd love to welcome any of those dudes back. And then Brandan, is there another position that you would maybe want to see potentially that they would go get another dude or two just to fill out the roster a bit more if you're looking around the roster?
Yeah. Linebacker seems like the natural choice. Interior offensive line, potentially, depending on how things look at, but I feel like there's probably enough depth there though, between draft picks and the guys currently on the team. Linebacker is just where I naturally go. And, there's guys out there available. Zach Cunningham's one of those guys who was a linebacker for the Texans, who played very well. He's still a free agent. He's not terribly old.
No,
I think he's not. I don't even think he's in his 30s. So at linebacker,
yeah.
and we got the news that Jordan Brooks is probably not going to be ready for week 1, on the PUP list with a few other names that we can get into later. But that's one of the names that comes to mind if depending on how Devin Bush is looking.
Right. And I saw Quan Alexander on there as well.
Right.
So like, and to me, it's always like linebackers are kind of like, well, they're certainly the running back of the defensive side, right? Very commoditized. People get cut in their late 20s and very early 30s. Yet, unlike running backs, linebackers have longevity, especially if you're not like, hey, go be the super fast side to side guy. Like as long as you're not really going to the heap of NFL free agency at this time, you're not going to find that side to side speed typically. But if you just want to go find a good linebacker, again, maybe 3, 5, 6 million a year and just increase that depth, I'm all about it still. I think it's a really sound move. Now I realize, well, who you talk about, who's getting cut? Could Vi Jones step up and be the young guy? Could Radigan step up and be the young guy? Sure. All possibilities. I am just okay with shoring up that with another kind of role player, like
someone that can come in and play consistently. When you talk about the two names that we just brought up with Quan Alexander and Zach Cunningham, these are guys who got paid on their second deals,
right?
And they didn't really live up to the types of contracts that they were given. They're paid as high-level linebackers when they're kind of mid-level linebackers, which is very good. You need guys like that. And now by just the fact of them getting cut and not being brought onto a team, that's what helps bring that number down each and every week to where they go, well, if I want to play this year, maybe I pay for play for 3-4 million.
I want to play in a cool place with a good culture, with a team that's probably going to make the playoffs, in a city that absolutely loves the team, with beautiful throwback jerseys. Ding, 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 ding. Those Columbus like breadcrumbs are stacking up there too, Brandan.
And then when Bobby Wagner retires in 3 or 4 years, I can take over at that spot in my upper years. That like just goes into the calculus.
I like how you put that in there. Very, very nice. Once again, I'm proud of you for a second time, which is it's a lot for us. And one more thing on Quan Alexander, I believe, if my memory serves me, didn't he get like when he got that second contract and he changed teams, didn't he like blow out a knee? Didn't he get hurt like early on in his transition to a new team? Right. I think he did. So
I think injuries were an issue for him even before, though. So I think
he's a good linebacker, though. He could play. So so what else did we learn though about day one? Was there anything from the? I know we don't have Witherspoon yet, right? So we talked about that. He'll be whatever. He'll sign.
Pete was very. He made it sound like it wasn't an issue, that it's going to happen very soon.
It will.
Based on the way Pete handled it, he's probably going to be there tomorrow.
I mean, what is Witherspoon? 21 or 22? I'm not saying number. Like how old is he?
Oh yeah, he wears number 21.
Right, and he thank you. So he's around 21 years old.
I'll go with the answer that I know.
Yes, I love it. I'm just saying.
And the other thing that Pete said was that he's been through all the offseason stuff.
Yeah,
he can come in. He knows what he needs to know. Not being here for a day I'm putting words in Pete's mouth. Not being here for the
you talked to
the very first day. Yeah, when Pete and I talked earlier, it was a very one-way conversation. I listened to him via YouTube, but we did have a conversation.
You really bonded, and Witherspoon was, we talked about the throwbacks. He was part of the throwback fun. He was out there getting the jersey photos. He had the beanie on, which is an awesome beanie. So no, he'll be on the field very soon. We're talking about a young man who's about to get paid millions of dollars in guaranteed money, or not. So he's, he'll sign. They'll figure it out. It's
guaranteed money. It just depends on when that guaranteed money comes in. Does he get it all up front?
Yeah.
Do they say, and the thing is, the business side of football, I think we all dislike it, but I think we also have to understand it.
Yeah.
All the people who are drafted ahead of him all got all of their guaranteed money up front. And so you're, as the next guy in line, do you want to be the guy who says
breaks the chain,
who breaks the chain, or do you want want all your guaranteed money up front. And, for the team to say, well, we want you to have, 60% up front and we want to hold some of the back for later on. It just seems ticky-tack either way, it seems ticky-tack. Like the guy is owed this amount of money. You either give it to it just seems silly to quarrel over.
Pay the man his money. That's it. Pay the dude. Get him in camp. And if I'm Witherspoon, I'd be like, no, I want it all now. And the reason is it's more valuable to me now because I could do something with that money now. Yeah. So I don't blame one iota.
You don't take the deferred payments when you win the Mega Millions. You take it all up front.
You take it even with the taxation. You take the money. It doesn't matter because you take every dime they're going to give you. And you know what? He'll be out there soon enough, and we're excited to see it. Was there anything that anything on the offensive side? I know it's day one, but was there any cool stuff? Any JSN news? Any like where are they putting Charbonnet? Who's with the first team? Or is it still a little too early for any of that?
We heard some praise from I personally heard praise about JSN from Pete Carroll, calling him a natural at the position. So that was nice to hear. Going back to Witherspoon, though, the one interesting point that I did get from Pete is I like that I'm keeping this going. Here I am spiking the football now. He made it sound like nickel is the spot that he's going to play when three corners are on the field for Witherspoon. Talking about the competition with Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
But and then he was saying, maybe we get all of them out there. So it's still kind of it's interesting how Pete is talking about the corner position with respect to Witherspoon. It seems to me like he's going to be a flexible piece. I think we talked about that in the offseason when he was talking around that, so the messaging hasn't changed. But
I do have a take. There.
Yeah.
My take is that sometimes Pete, I'm not sure it's the case here, but there's been times in the past where Pete has got to keep up the always compete facade, like no matter what. He has to keep it up. So he has was he the 5th overall pick who hasn't signed yet, who's not in camp, and Mike Jackson has been it's just the apple of the eye throughout the entire offseason and played well. I'm not like taking anything away from Mike Jackson. The guy played good football and surprised us all. With that, I just think this is a bit of a facade from Pete to be like, listen, it is truly still always compete. Now, if it's legit and we get to the season and Witherspoon is playing the slot in those situations, I'm going to be fine with it. And the reason I'm fine with it is because number one, I'm a big boy. Number two, if I think he's probably naturally better and more skilled than Kobe Bryant right now. So which means we're putting a better defense out there.
Right.
And Witherspoon played all over the place on the college football fields. Meanwhile, Bryant was outside across from Sauce and like, we're going to throw you inside. So
yeah,
that never made a lot of sense to me. So I think there's some, facade by Pete here a little bit. But I'm also kind of hoping that it's not a facade. I wouldn't mind that to happen. And then all of a sudden when we go to the dime package and we have Love out there and hopefully Adams once he's back and healthy, it's just going to be, and obviously Diggs, there's so much we can do with that between 4 to 6 DBs this year. So much athleticism, so much like dynamic play. And that's without talking about Trey Brown possibly sneaking back in there.
Right. And he was one of the starters who was on the field, especially with Tariq Woolen out on PUP. Sounds like he was doing all the drills. He's explosive and he can do all of the things. It's just Pete was saying that he's not quite there to be fully to be able to do full practice things.
Wait, who's that? Trey Brown or
Tariq Woolen
or Tariq? Oh, okay.
No, Trey Brown was out there. It was Trey Brown, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jackson. Those are your 3 corners who were the kind of the starting 3 with Kobe playing in the slot.
Okay, gotcha. I would still love to see Trey Brown try in the slot. I would absolutely love to see that potentially happen. I just from what we saw before he got hurt.
He wasn't a slot guy in college either. Yeah,
I know,
like
but he was smaller and stickier. Like he had the build to be more of a slot guy anyway. So I know we're getting a little digressing a bit on our DBs on day one, but that's okay. That's what we do here. All right. So Brooks on the PUP, Jamal we know on the PUP. Any other PUP worthy stories before we call it a day here?
I think those were the main guys that we had to be concerned about with regard to PUP. Physically unable to perform.
Right, but that's not a big deal right now. This is not like, oh, that means they're out. So if people are wondering, right, this is not like, oh, you're on the PUP at this point. That does not mean you have to forfeit 4 games or forfeit 6 games. Right now, they could come off the PUP at any given time. I don't know when that cuts off, but I know there is a cutoff point.
There is a cutoff point. I think it is the end of training camp.
Okay. That's still plenty away. So
it's not a concern. It's not enough of a concern for me right now to where I am going and finding the exact date to where these guys are at risk of not making it week 1.
How could you not know the day for the PUP cut? You have to call yourself a Seahawks podcaster. Y'all wrong.
Bring it on. Bring it on, YouTube commenters. Going back to the offense, there was one other bit of offensive news. Evan Brown at center taking first team reps over Oluwatimi.
Okay, not shocked. Again, day 1, and that's a little bit of the vet getting the vet treatment, and that's a-okay. That's another thing where I was on with Dan Viens, and that was my camp battle.
You were
on the offensive side.
I was on with Dan.
I know. We were both on with Dan, a little double dip this week. It was a good time. But that was my offensive camp battle because, and but again, my conclusion is I try to be logical. It's like both outcomes are okay by me. If Evan Brown comes through and he's the dude, so be it. And it doesn't matter if it's 4 weeks, 6 weeks, the whole season. If it's Olu, awesome. So be it. Either one are better than Blythe. And if that one to me feels like a real true competition, and if one stands out a bit more, and the one point I made about preseason is like, you don't see the high powered offense in the preseason. You don't see all the bells and whistles, but you do see power football very often. Yeah. Go run the ball, go run your zone schemes, go move people. Okay. So we're going to get a real nice chance to go see Olu versus Evan Brown when it comes to moving dudes off the line in the run game. And, may the best dude win. And that's cool by me. I think, again, after the equation sign, we upgraded our center. So, but it's cool to know that, again, Pete giving Evan day 1, hey, you're the vet. You came in, you signed the contract with us. You get first team snaps. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Olu, go out and win the job. Anthony Bradford, take that job away from Phil Haynes.
No,
and we'll have a nice young line.
I'm a Phil Haynes beefy boy stand for.
You want the best guy though. You want the best guy.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a-okay too. Competition all day long there. If it's not Phil, it's not Phil. However, if I had to lay a few bucks on the line, if I could, I think Phil Haynes wins that job to start the season. And I think he's going to outperform and be a above average guard for us, which is going to really, it's going to tie the whole room together there, Brandon.
I would be happy with that. I'll be happy to get Noah Fant off of PUP too. That was one other name that significant name on the PUP list. And he had a little work done on a knee, and
he had a knee. Okay.
Long, so. Yeah. Okay. He has a knee.
He hasn't. He'll be back. That's a-okay. That's
the one guy who won't be back. Alton Robinson, cut from the team, released. Gonzo.
That's news.
Yeah,
dude. But 30 minutes in, 29-14, and you're dropping. So
well, he's like a third stringer on the defensive line.
Well, he's the Nas Jones of this generation, right? It's like, oh, this guy was really, really good, and then Kaiser Sose
he showed up in 1 or 2 plays and looked like he could be talented. Wow. But I guess the offseason, Pete was cryptic about it.
Yeah,
he was. He saying that it just didn't work out, but he kind of made it sound like Alton did not use the offseason the best. Is the subtext that I got.
Okay, I would have been less shocked if you said Brian Monet, and I won't be too shocked if that's Monet's fate also, because of the crypticism, like if that's a word. But Pete's been real cryptic about Monet, like, well, we're not quite sure, we're not sure if he's going to make it back. So I was shocked when I first heard it, because I think Robinson is talented. However, he's not long for the team. He's gone. Wish him the best, of course. But also with all the draft picks and how they've just bolstered the DNs, my 10 seconds of shock quickly wore off, and it's like, all right, I wish the dude the best, though. I hope he can, catch on somewhere. How about our boy Miles Adams? Any rumors?
I know there is zero Miles Adams news.
Zero. Okay. You know what? Good.
When I have my next conversation with Pete Carroll, I will assure you that I will hope for the best that Miles Adams news comes up.
Okay, very, very, and positive Miles Adams news.
Positive Miles Adams news. And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.